Well, let's continue our look at the impact of auto tariffs. Dan Carter is the mayor of Oshawa, Ontario, nicknamed Canada's Motor City. Mayor Carter, thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon, Michael. It's good to see you, and I wish you all the best of the day.
Thank you very much. Listen, GM, obviously the big automotive employer in Oshawa, arguably the most exposed of the North American car companies to integrated supply chains. But you're on record as saying you remain optimistic despite these tariffs. Why?
Absolutely. I think it comes down to as you know, we went through a very interesting time in 2018, just days prior to me taking the oath of office, when General Motors had to make a decision under Trump 45 about closing down and seeing our production end after over 100 years. And we got through that because of the reason that we work with General Motors and Unifor throughout one of the most difficult periods of time. And that's what gives me a great deal of optimism. I also look at our plant and I see the diversity that it has, the capacity of doing something very unique in North America. And that gives us kind of a competitive edge, not only in regards to the quality of the product, but also on the productivity level. And we also have a unique line that is able to have two different types of models going down the same line, and to be able to produce these automobiles. So that gives us, in my opinion, a competitive edge. And what I'm hearing from General Motors is it is also one of the most sought after products in North America. And we're seeing about 150,000 units that are produced here and shipped. And I just feel very optimistic about what I've heard so far.
Now is that based on this idea that to move this production elsewhere would just be too expensive for GM?
Well, I think there's a couple things. If I can give you kind of an insight, I'm spending a lot of time visiting companies right now. And one is the uncertainty of what we should expect. There's an announcement after announcement, but nobody really has clarity in regards to what the rules and regulations are. That's number one. The fear of the instability of not knowing what next week, next month, or 8 months from now really is businesses are sitting there and are, hard to make a decision based upon not factual information. And then the complexities of the auto industry itself, if we're speaking about that, is the complexities of moving that kind of facility. In Oshawa, as you know, our facility here is 10 million square feet, 3,500 people on the production line. So moving that and this system that is so integrated and has an ecosystem of itself is very complex. And I thought Mayor Drew in Windsor brought up a really good point. He said, this has taken years and years and years to be able to get a system that works efficiently in regards to the automobile industry. To kind of switch it overnight is unrealistic, and it's improbable that it can actually happen quickly. So that's where a lot of my confidence comes from. But businesses need certainty. And right now, we really don't know what's going to happen next week, next month, or 8 months from now. And that means I might as well stay where I am. I might as well have the predictability of doing business in Canada right now till we can figure out what's going to happen in the United States.
Yeah, until we can figure out, as you say. Now, the Prime Minister, Mark Carney, says that a meeting will happen with Donald Trump sometime after the election, and that meeting would ostensibly hold regardless of who becomes Prime Minister. So what's your take away from that? The very fact that the two sides seem willing to speak, but really what's holding it up right now is the fact that we're in the midst of an election campaign.
Yeah, talk about timing. We don't have really good timing right at this particular time. And that's been part of the frustration, is really who do we deal with? Even on the municipal side, when we're talking about healthcare, I can deal with the province, but I don't know who to deal with at the federal side. I've said this before, that I'm pleased about the participation, especially from Premier Ford and what he's been able to do. He's being very statesmanlike. He's being clear and concise and consistent. He's working with the Prime Minister and the other premiers. I think the trade table that they're all sitting at is having frank, spirited conversations to really talk about where Canada is and where our economy is. And I think we're having some very hard conversations about what is needed right now, but what the future may hold. And I think there's going to be a period of adjustment and transition in not only Ontario, but all across Canada. I also look at this, Michael, as a great opportunity. In Oshawa at one time, our economy was 86% manufacturing. It's 3 to 4% right now. We've diversified our economy, and that's been beneficial. I think Canada has now got the challenge in front of it that we must diversify. These interprovincial trade barriers coming down is a good start, and I think that has to happen. But new trading partners, new ways of doing businesses, I think that that's all the things that we're going to be challenged with. This could be a moment of opportunity for Canadians and the Canadian economy. And I don't want us to waste this moment through anger and fear. I want us coming together as a nation to be able to work together to solve these issues. And I feel confident that the premiers are sitting around a table. Mark Carney, of course, is trying to do his best, not only as a candidate, but also holding the role of prime minister at this particular time. So let's hope that we are strategic, calm, and that we find a pathway forward, and I'm confident of that.
Dan Carter, appreciate the time. Thank you for the thoughts and the insight today.
Always nice to speak to you, Michael. Stay well.
You too.